The storm's first growl had sounded like a far-off warning, rumbling faintly across the plains, but by the time Amelia Hart realized how fast it was moving in, the sky had already turned bruised and swirling. The wind whipped at her coat, flattening the fabric against her body as Daisy fought the rains. The mare hated storms almost as much as Amelia did. "Easy, girl. Almost there." But the wind was picking up, shrieking as if it meant to tear the whole valley apart. Lightning split the sky in a jagged white scar. The thunder that followed cracked the air so violently Daisy skittered sideways. Nearly unseating her, Amelia's muscles screamed as she tightened her legs around the saddle. Every second felt like a battle against the storm, against her horse, against her own racing heart as she urged Daisy toward the only structure visible through the curtain of rain. A barn. Massive, dark red once upon a time, now weathered by seasons of sun and storms. The property belonged to Colt Mercer. Quiet, stoic, elusive Colt. She'd only moved to the area 6 months ago, and neighbors were scarce out here, but everyone seemed to have a story about him. He'd lived alone since his father passed. He rarely talked. He preferred animals to people. He could fix anything with his hands, and he didn't like visitors. Amelia doubted he'd be thrilled about an uninvited, storm-drenched guest. But the storm wasn't giving her a choice. By the time she reached the barn's heavy sliding door, the wind nearly ripped it out of her grasp. She pushed it open with both hands, wedging her shoulder against the wood until there was just enough space for her and Daisy to slip inside. The moment the door clattered shut behind them, the sudden quiet was jarring. Not silent, rain hammered the roof and thunder boomed, but it was muted compared to the chaos outside. The warm, earthy scent of hay filled the air, grounding her frayed nerves. Daisy snorted, stomping anxiously, but she wasn't trembling anymore. "Good girl," Amelia breathed, rubbing her neck. "We made it." Water dripped from her coat in steady rivulets. She peeled it off, wringing out the hem with shaking hands. The ride had drained her. Her legs ached. Her fingers felt stiff from gripping the reins, and every part of her clothes clung uncomfortably to her skin. She scanned the barn for a place to sit. Wooden crates, loose boards, a toppled wheelbarrow. Everything looked too flimsy or too wet to support her weight. The hay bales stacked against the far wall were tied loosely and unevenly, shifting every time the wind rattled the barn. Just great. She leaned a hand against a post, her breath ragged as she tried to steady her wobbling knees. That's when she heard it. "Storm caught you too, huh?" The voice was deep, steady, and very close. She whirled around, her heart leaping into her throat. Colt Mercer stepped out of the dim shadows between the stalls. For a moment, her breath stalled. He looked different. Up close, taller than she remembered, broad-shouldered. Rain slicked his dark hair to his temple, and his shirt clung to him heavily, soaked through. The lantern light threw warm highlights along the edges of his jaw. She had hoped he wouldn't be furious about the intrusion. She wasn't prepared for him to look this imposing. I'm sorry," she blurted. "I didn't think anyone was home. My horse panicked and—" "You're fine," Colt interrupted, his voice even. "Barn's open for anyone who doesn't want to get flattened by lightning." She exhaled, relief loosening her chest. Colt walked toward Daisy first, reaching out a calm hand. The mare's ears perked forward, and she relaxed instantly under his touch. Amelia watched in a blend of awe and disbelief as he stroked her mane with quiet confidence. Animals seemed to sense something she couldn't. "She likes you," Amelia said. "Most creatures do," Colt replied simply. "People, though, that's another story." She wasn't sure if he meant it as humor or a warning. Colt's gaze flicked to her trembling legs. "You should sit before you fall." "I'm fine," she protested automatically. A rumble of thunder made the barn quiver, and her knees buckled slightly. Colt raised one eyebrow. Amelia huffed. "Okay, maybe not fine." "There's a spot you can use," he said, nodding toward the large shape under a heavy canvas tarp in the center of the barn. She frowned. "What is that?" "You'll see." His tone was maddeningly calm. The object was enormous, taller than her waist and wide, enough that the tarp draped over it stretched like a tent. Whatever lay underneath had smooth, rounded edges she could make out through the fabric. "It's too big," she said slowly. "And I don't know what's under there." "It's solid," Colt assured. "Won't move an inch. Go on, sit. Your legs are shaking so hard I can hear your boots knocking." She flushed. "They are not." He tilted his head. She sighed. Fine. Each step toward the mysterious shape made her more suspicious. It was heavy, no doubt. Too heavy to be a bale, too smooth to be farm equipment, too shaped to be random storage. She pressed her hand tentatively against the side. It didn't budge. The surface under the tarp felt hard and curved. Colt watched her with arms crossed, expression unreadable. "You're absolutely sure this won't collapse under me?" she asked. "Positive. Because if it does, I'm blaming you. And I'll accept the blame." His calmness was starting to worry her more than the object. Still, her legs were on the verge of giving out, and she was soaked, exhausted, and out of options. With a deep breath, she braced one hand and climbed up onto the massive shape. To her surprise, it felt steady, like sitting on a giant, immovable sculpture. "There," Colt said. "Told you." She tried adjusting her weight. "Solid as a rock." "Okay, this is actually kind of comfortable," she admitted. Colt stepped closer. Too close. Without warning, he grabbed the edge of the tarp. "Wait, what are you doing?" "Just showing you what you're sitting on." Before she could protest, he yanked the canvas free. It fell away with a heavy thud, revealing, and then Amelia froze. Her pulse spiked. Her breath hitched. Her eyes widened as she finally saw what she had willingly climbed onto. "Colt, is that, Colt didn't even blink. "Yep, told you it was sturdy." And Amelia realized with absolute horror and astonishment exactly what she had planted herself on top of.